Today, we are going to demo and discuss an off-bike dynamic functional cycling warm-up that will fully prepare your muscles so that you can answer this question.
Are you ready to go?
Have you ever done an on-bike warm-up 10, 20, 30 minutes with a few hard digs? But then that first big effort in the race, that first steep climb, that first rock garden section, muscles, or maybe just one group of muscles, feel tight, balled up, or stiff. And that fear sets in that you are not
Ready to go?
This warm-up will get the muscles loose and firing on all cylinders, keeping your mind focused on the race and the effort and not on a tight muscle. If this isn't you, your warm-up works great. Well, this routine still has additional benefits beyond the warm-up function. All right, like all of my videos, I'm going to try to give the answers first. First, we're going to do a quick view demo. Murphy, no. Puppy dogs. All right, so first we're going to do a quick view demo. No technique notes, just going to show you how to do the exercises. Second, we're going to explain why this works. Third, when to do it. And then fourth, we're going to return to the exercises and go through each one of them with lots of technique notes and tips. Hold for 3 seconds. 3 times. Squat with a turn. Hold for 3 seconds on one side. 3 seconds on the other side. Back to center and up 3 times. Sumo squat with a side shift. Shift to one side, hold for 3 seconds. Shift sides, hold for 3 seconds. Back to center, up 3 times. Three times. Hold for 3 seconds. Back up. Rise up on your toes. Three on one side, 3 on the other. Three on one side, 3 on the other. Three reps each side. 2 laps around. Wider row. So why do we need a functional warm-up? When we do our warm-up on the bike, we pedal in a specific range of motion, and therefore our muscles are prepared for that range. But with certain terrain and certain cycling efforts, we may put our joints just beyond that range and also ask them to produce and absorb force. If we don't warm up the muscles and wake up the brain in those positions, we may feel that tightness or that inefficiency. So one example of this would be on a technical mountain bike course with lots of body-bike separation. Our arms are going one way, our hips are going the other, hip hinging, moving the bike beneath us. That puts our body in a unique position that we may not have experienced when we were riding the trainer or just out spinning on the roads. So besides body-bike separation on a technical mountain bike course, one that's going to get most people is a really deep hip hinge. So if we're doing our normal warm-up on our bike on the road or on a trainer, this is sort of the the range of motion of our hip, and that's just kind of what we get warmed up at. But if we're going up a very, very steep climb, end up sliding forward on the saddle, getting really low, pulling on the handlebars, and this is a much different feel on those muscles, especially when you're driving force. We can even extend this to upper body, again on a technical mountain bike course or a rough gravel course. If we just sit here, these just slightly bent elbows in our warm-up period, but then when we get on the gravel course, we're absorbing bumps or bigger holes, things of that nature. The muscles through the triceps and shoulders and chest aren't getting quite the same feel as they did when they were just sitting here statically at warm-up. A simple analogy of how to look at this is if you were building a wheel. First, we lace up the wheel and tension and true it. This would be similar to our on-bike warm-up. And at this point, our wheel works. But if we really want our wheel to work at its best, we need to pre-stress the spokes by squeezing pairs of spokes together. This just stresses the spokes a little bit differently than just turning the nipples and applying tension. And then finally, our functional warm-up is going to kind of fire up that brain and muscle connection and activation, and that would be kind of the retensioning of the wheel after we have pre-stressed the spokes. When should you do this warm-up? If we follow the rules of a progressive warm-up, the ideal situation would be to spin easy for 5 to 10 minutes on your bike, get off, do the functional warm-up, get back on, and then continue with your progressive warm-up as the intensity gets harder and harder. But honestly, it can be done before you do your on-bike or after you do your on-bike or during. Just get it done. All right, let us get into some more details on each exercise with some technique tips. But first, a disclaimer. A guy goes into a doctor and he says, "Doc, it hurts when I do this." And what does the doctor say? Don't do that. So that's pretty good advice to follow when you're doing these exercises as well. So if you have pain, there are some modifications that you can make. So if you do have some pain, you can leave a comment below and I can try to address that through the comment section. Another way to address it is just to reduce range, and we'll discuss that as we go through it. And then of course the third way is to seek help of a professional personal trainer where they can give you an alternate exercise or a modification. There are 6 exercises. The first 5 are just body weight, and the 6th exercise does require a small amount of weight. All right, the sumo squat series with holds. You want your feet to be not extra wide like you see some sumo squats going way out there. We just want to be a little bit wider than hip width apart and feet pointing slightly outward. When we descend into our squat, we want to descend as deep as we can go without our butt tucking under and our back rounding out. And when in doubt, stick your butt out. We are looking for equal part hip hinging and knee hinging, so we should have kind of equal bending on both. As far as how deep you go, other than the tuck under that we just discussed, for most people it's going to be around 90 degrees. And for this, we're going to set a limit of you don't want your butt to go any deeper than knee height. If you can go deeper than that, then you probably need something a little more advanced than what this warm-up can offer you. If you have pain when squatting, you can decrease the range of motion if you can get down to this far, and then if you go a little deeper, you get pain in your knees. First, make sure that that butt is back and the chest is up. But if there's still pain, then go just to the point where that pain doesn't start. So as we're coming down, our butt is going out, our chest is up, and our back is straight. We're going to hold for 3 seconds and then come back up. All right, the sumo squat to the turn. When you reach your bottom position, you want to pull one hip and knee behind you, and that's the one that's going to have most of the weight on it. The other knee and hip are going to drift forward, and you want to tie your shoulders to your hips and tie them together. Okay, it's okay to let your heel rise naturally on this foot. It's okay to have this knee go in front of your toes as long as you're weighting this back hip. If you have pain on the turns, decrease the turn radius, turn a little less, or again, decrease your range of motion, don't go quite as deep. All right, sumo squat to side shift. Get to your bottom range of motion. And then you're going to shift over just to about when your knee reaches your foot. Shift to the other side, same thing. Back to center and up. Here again, if you have pain, first try a wider stance. And then second, don't shift quite as far. And again, third, decrease range if necessary. All right, inchworm tips. Make sure you squat down nice and deep onto your hands first. Hi, Murphy. Yep. And then walk out with soft hand landings. You want to get your hips to just at or slightly below shoulder level. We don't want to be piked and we don't want to be sagged. And when you walk back, make sure you re-squat right away, nice and deep, and then come back up. Okay. If you have pain in your wrists and shoulders, take shorter steps with your hands and take more steps. Or you can go to the modified position on a tall kneeling position. You're going to push your butt back and down towards your heels. Walk out. Hips will be a little lower. And then return and come back up. No. No. Go settle. Come on. Settle. Up. Settle. Good boy. I have no experience in prison in Romania. All right, feet about hip width apart, so fairly narrow stance. Hands behind the head. You're going to retract your elbows, pull them back, and open up your chest. You're going to hinge forward at the hips. We're looking for about 90% hinging at the hips and only about 10% in the knees. So as you tip forward, you're going to push your butt back and lift the tailbone up. Keep the chest up until you reach a nice stretch to your hamstrings. Murphy loves this exercise. Push your feet to the floor, drive your hips forward, and then up onto your calves. Spidey push-ups. If you're on a hard surface, you may want to fold it up tall or a mat for the knee. Come down to that half kneel position. Top leg goes straight out to the side. Just like inchworm, we're going to walk out in small, soft steps. If you're a mountain biker, go a little wider with your hand stance, and your elbows are going to flare outward as you do your push-up. If you're a drop bar rider, when you walk out, go a little narrower with your hand stance, and your elbows are going to stay closer to your sides when you do your push-up. If you have pain in your wrists or shoulders, decrease the range or experiment with hand positions. Try a little wider, a little narrower, and experiment where your elbows travel, closer to your sides or further away. Reach across to bike squat. Opposite foot is forward to the hand that's doing the sweeping. We want to stance in a staggered position, roughly in about the same distance as your pedals when they are level. Back heel will be up, opposite arm up. You're going to hip hinge down, and again, we're looking for about 50% hip hinge and knee hinge as you come through. And then you're just doing a slight turn as you come around. You want your hips to turn with your shoulders as best you can and with your arm. That back knee can come forward a little bit, and the front hip is going to drop back. If you have pain with this, minimize the turn. Just do a little less. Again, the goal is just to get a little bit of a stretch through your hip, so as long as you're feeling that, it'll be successful. We're going into long staggered stance position. We're hinging about 60% on the hip, about 40% on the knee. We're doing the same foot forward as the arm that you're doing the row with. Chest up, straight back, nice long lines from shoulder to the back, and rowing up the side. The reason we're doing same foot, same arm is to recreate counter steering on the bike. When you push hard with your right foot, you also have to pull back with your right hand to keep the bike going straight. However, if you did want to get a little more functional with this exercise, you could flip it and do opposite foot forward and get a similar benefit. As far as weight, you want to have somewhere between 8 and 15 pounds, depending on where your strength levels are. If you don't have any dumbbells or kettlebells, you can get creative. And go with the old toolbox. Just watch your knees and clearance. You can also go with your cooler filled with post-ride drinks or food. And of course, if you don't want to draw too much attention to yourself, you can use a standard dumbbell or a kettlebell. All right, so now how we can use this? Well, obviously we can use it as a warm-up. We can do it as a warm-up before a hard ride or a race. We can do it before, during, or after our on-bike warm-up. We can also use this routine, or at least parts of this routine, as a warm-up refresh. Let's say we've gone through our on-bike and off-bike warm-up, but then we are stuck in staging for a while, or the race gets delayed, and you're sitting in the staging area and things have tightened back up. I can't see any of you doing this whole thing in staging. However, the lower body warm-up exercises, specifically the sumo squat series, the Romanian deadlift calf raises, and then probably the best of the three would be the reach across bike squat, would be a great way to reconnect your brain and re-warm up the muscles just before the start on the staging grid. A third way to use this as a warm-up is to actually use it as a warm-up to a strength training session. So when you go to the gym, do this before you start any of your major exercises and you'll be good to go. Second way we can use this is as an active recovery session. Say you're traveling, can't get to a gym, you don't have your bike, and you just want to get some blood flow going. Just go through this exact same routine, but just do it a bunch of times. Instead of just going once through, go 3 times through. 15 minutes later, you've gotten some blood flow, you've reconnected your muscles, and your day just got a lot better. The third way to use these exercises is actually as a functional workout. Are you going to get jacked doing this workout? No. Are you going to get maximum strength out of this workout? No. Are you going to blow out a whole bunch of calories doing this workout? No. But it is going to make you a functionally better person, not only for cycling, but just general day-to-day activities. And the fourth bonus way to use this routine is for psychological warfare. Have you ever been to the race and you see that guy that pulls out the rollers in the parking lot? And these are the real rollers, the ones you have to balance on. And the first thing you're thinking, especially if you don't own rollers, is, I need to buy rollers because, we need gear. And the second thing is, you're probably thinking he's pretty serious and probably pretty fast. Now that may or may not be true, but he's already in your head. So I've been racing for a lot of years and I have yet to see anyone do any type of off-bike functional warm-up routine other than a few half-hearted stretches. So I can guarantee you, if you pull out this routine in the parking lot, people will notice, even if it's just for a few seconds. And when you blow by them on that first big effort, and they have that tight hamstring, they will remember you again. These thoughts clutter the head while you are focused on effort, tactics, and skills. Thanks for watching. Please leave feedback, comments, or questions below. There are plenty of functional warm-up routines out there that you can search for, so if this one doesn't work for you, don't be afraid to try someone else's. I hope this off-bike functional dynamic warm-up gets you
Ready to go.